Yo, what up? So here's a quick video about how I take acapellas from, in this case, YouTube, and I load them into Ableton, and I create a new track around an acapella. I did a short video about me sampling and me taking an acapella from this particular case, J. Cole, again, from a song called Heaven's EP, throwing it into Ableton, finding a sample, in this case by my boy John Smythe. Check John out at Smythe Plays and also Smythe Plays on Instagram. This is a sample that he produced, sent me a pack, it's fire. I thought it worked well for J. Cole's song Heaven's EP, and I'll show you a little bit of what that process was like. In this case, it is not necessarily locked to a grid. My approach to doing acapellas that should fit in the confines of a grid, I handle them a little bit differently, but this one I just thought that the sample worked so well and it does kind of float. And a lot of times, y'all know, as producers, there's these acapellas that are online and they might have the BPM, and the BPM is not really accurate, so you might have to manipulate it anyway. But anyway, let's get right to it. I'll show you a little bit. I have my Ableton Push here in front of me that I normally chop samples up on, and then I'll be showing you my screen, what I'm actually doing in Ableton. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with somebody that also might appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you, but let's get into it. Here we go. All right, so boom. As you can see, this is pretty much the full session here. And what I'll do is I'll mute everything and I'll start with the order of how I originally did the track. All right, so I started with the acapella. Whoever uploaded the acapella to YouTube, Heaven's EP by J. Cole, they had it listed at 78.3 BPM. That may or may not be the tempo. I kind of tapped tempo to kind of find what it was closest to, and it might have been around 78, 79, somewhere in between there. So as you can see right over here, I have my BPM set to 84 because I did speed it up a little bit. Just to make it feel a little bit better with the sample chops that I had. Again, shout out to John for supplying the dope loop. But yeah, I started with the acapella, J. Cole Heaven's EP, and here we go. I'll just play a little snippet of what that sounds like.
Yeah. Shit off my mind on this. Yeah. Yeah. With every record, I be asking the masses to tune your hearts to me. I represent intelligent niggas that grew up partially, but lately I've been questioning, second guessing whether or not.
All right, so what you'll notice is that it is kind of behind the click a little bit, and that is intentional because I think it fits the genre, it fits the style of what I was going for. And then it drifts kind of way off the tempo. But for me, this particular track was more so about how it felt with the sample as opposed to it being actually locked with the BPM, which is 84. I did use that as a good starting point for me, but it does also drift from the grid a little bit, slightly. At some points it's worse than others, or depending on your taste, it's better than others. But again, it's the taste. I thought that it was more important for it to feel better with the sample than it was on the grid. So here we go.
Yeah. Shit off my mind on this. Yeah. Yeah. With every record, I be asking the masses to tune your hearts to me. I represent intelligent niggas that grew up partially, but lately I've been questioning, second guessing whether or not I've got something to offer since I done eluded poverty, or has the money watered me down? That truth is hard for me. Like the second time I got cut from the junior varsity, fighting back tears, I promised to switch gears and said to myself, whatever you do, you won't do it partially. From this day forward, I move with a new ferocity. Ferrari coupe velocity, a veil-proof philosophy. Success is in the effort, so if a nigga tried his hardest, I'm at peace knowing God ain't dealing in this group of cars for me. Some people say that I'm running third, they threw the bronze at me. Behind Drake and Dot, yeah, them niggas is superstars to me. Maybe deep down, I'm afraid of my luminosity.
So that is what the samples sound like behind the acapella. And just to kind of show you what the original sample loop sounded like. So obviously it's a little slower, right? It's a little slower. I think I kicked it up 2 semitones from B flat minor to C minor. Again, not that J. Cole is doing anything melodic. He's definitely just rapping without melody to it, but there's a tonality to it that I thought C minor worked better for it than what B flat minor did, and speeding it up also fit. Just to revisit the acapella a little bit, talking about lining it up to the grid, I knew that I had to have a clearly defined downbeat for me to be able to start to chop. I had to have a clearly defined downbeat with the acapella before I could even start to think about where my sample chops would be. So for me, without hearing what the original song sounded like, I didn't even know. I didn't have any reference. And a lot of times when I'm doing this, I don't like to have any bias as to what the song sounded like prior to me doing a quote unquote remix for the track. So I didn't have any preconceived idea of what the song should sound like or where the downbeat was when he started his verse. But for me, it sounded like when he says the word record, that sounded like the downbeat. With every record, with every 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. With every, it sounds like a pickup to the downbeat or the 1 for me.
With every record, I be asking the masses to tune your hearts to me. I represent intelligent niggas that grew up partially. But lately I've been questioning, second guessing whether or not I've got something to offer since I done eluded poverty. Or has the money watered me down?
So on and so forth. You get the point. So as you can see here, if I zoom in a little bit, without getting too technical or into the weeds with this, but the word record starts here and it's slightly after the downbeat of the third bar. So that explains why there's a little bit of space here between the transient of record to the downbeat or the third bar of my grid here. So
with every record, I be asking the masses to tune your hearts to me. I represent intelligent niggas that grew up partially. But lately I've been questioning, second guessing whether or not I've got something to offer since I done eluded poverty. Or has the money watered me down?
After that, I kind of just put those two things together and to show you what my sample chop sounded like. Again, I took them up 2 semitones and I sped the track up to 84 beats per minute. And these are my sample chops. So those are my sample chops. That's 16 plus another 4, 20 sample chops total. And shout out to John because he really made this easy. I was clearly able to identify where I wanted to chop. So basically every bar is where I chop. And then again, playing that original 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So that's where I decided to chop, just taking every bar and just making a sample slice out of those bars. And that's basically my approach to producing around an acapella. How I got better at this was just ripping acapellas from YouTube or whatever, my platform of choice was at that time. I would throw it into my DAW and I would basically learn how to produce or arrange music around a vocal. It's a good practice to get into if you're a producer just starting out, or if you're a seasoned vet. It's a good way to understand the tonality behind vocal performances and how to craft music around vocals. And it's just a good way to learn. You got to leave space for the artist, but also there might be a case where you can get a placement from producing music around vocals. That leads to placements as well, which I've also gotten placements that way. That's just a quick tip that I thought I would drop and share. Make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you share it with somebody that might also appreciate this information in this video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because more videos will be coming to you from me, just to drop a couple gems here and there. Take from it what you will. But in the meantime, I'm Drew. Appreciate you. Peace.